It's Dr. St. Peter here, and I wanted to send you a little video message because I think sometimes it's easier to communicate verbally than it is writing all this down for you. And I'm making this video with some information about your career and your future because I often have questions about this from students. So, a couple of things as pertains to research methods. If you are planning to get an advanced degree in psychology, so after you get your bachelor's degree, either your BS or BA in psychology or some related field, particularly if you want to go on to get a doctoral degree, there are some things you need to consider. What I'm speaking about now are students who are interested in going on to get a doctoral degree in some applied area of psychology. And what I mean by applied is getting a degree that allows you to engage in the practice of psychology. There are obviously many different disciplines in psychology, probably too many to name here. There's social psychology, clinical, counseling, school psychology, educational psychology, developmental psychology, experimental, comparative, behavioral neuroscience. There's far too many to name. But there are only a limited number of programs that allow you to practice psychology. That is, use techniques and apply them to patients. Everything else is going to be on the research track, okay? Those areas that allow you to apply your degree would be counseling, clinical, in some cases educational psychology, and in some cases, industrial organizational. If you want to do counseling and psychotherapy and psychological testing, then I would recommend getting your degree in counseling or clinical psychology because that is the curriculum that will allow you to apply for licensure. And it is the possession of a license in whatever state you live in that allows you to practice psychology. I hope that's clear. Okay, if you have questions about that, message me. So, regardless of whether you're going on in a research track area or an applied track area, I strongly recommend that you get some research-based experience. This is because, for obvious reasons, if you're going into a research track and you're planning to be, say, a college professor who does research in developmental psychology, obviously you're going to want to start getting research experience as soon as you can. But even if you're going into an applied area, you still want to get some research experience at the undergraduate level because most of those programs, the ones that are approved by the APA, the American Psychological Association, which means their curriculum has passed their standards, I would recommend applying to one of those programs, an APA approved program. Even in those applied areas, most follow what is called the scientist-practitioner model. And that means you are not just a practitioner of psychology. You are first and foremost a scientist. Psychology considers itself a science because it makes use of the scientific method. So even if you are practicing psychology and performing psychotherapy or testing, you are still expected to be utilizing the scientific method in the choosing and the application of your techniques. So you should understand science, you should know how to conduct scientific studies, you should be able to read them and consume them. Okay, that scientist-practitioner model. Now, given all of that, what does that have to do with research methods this semester? Well, what you all are doing this semester is learning how to apply the scientific method. You're completing this project, a research project from beginning to end, okay, all the way from developing a hypothesis, reading the literature, all the way to presenting your findings in class or presenting your findings in some public area, okay? Some students may elect to do that. That is why I am saying if you want to go on in psychology, given that you are doing a research project from start to finish this semester, you might want to consider making use of your project in some way above and beyond just for fulfilling a class requirement. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine. Just check the boxes, engage in the process, do the best you can, learn what you can, get the grade, and move on. That's perfectly acceptable. But if you want to go to graduate school, you might consider doing a little extra. And that means that before you collect your data, you'll want to think about if you might want to present your project in the symposium. We have a symposium in our department every spring. You might want to consider submitting your project for a contest or a presentation in a student showcase, or submit it for publication or for presentation at a conference, or presented at Psi Beta. Did I say that already? Presented at Phi Theta Kappa. I have lots of ways that students, especially honor students, but this applies to everyone, even non-honor students, may choose to use their projects for more than just classroom purposes. If you think you might want to do that, you will need to do two things. Okay. In Lab 9, there's an opportunity to complete a training in human subjects research. All students are required to do a part of that training. If you think you might want to use your project in some of these other ways in order to get research experience for graduate school, then you will be required to complete the entire training and to get what's called the completion certificate. That is explained in Lab 9. It's coming up in Lab 9. So that's one. The second thing you will need to do is to complete a set of forms called the CRRC or IRB student application. And I also have those forms attached for you in the lab. You'll need to look these forms over, decide if it's something you want to do, and then contact me and let me know if any of these things are of any interest to you. Okay, so I just wanted to send out a little announcement about that. I mean, it's a little early now. We're only on, like, I don't know, lab 4 or 5, somewhere in there. But I wanted to plant the seed so that you could kind of think it over. This semester is a lot of work. So doing these extra things are going to require a little more work, and also would require you to do things a little bit faster, because you would need to have these things completed and approved before you collect data, which occurs maybe about, I'm going to say, the 10th week of class, in there somewhere. Okay, so maybe somewhere prior to lab 11 or 12, you would need to have all of these forms in and completed, and then you would probably need to speed up on the data collection a little bit if you want to do that. But you know what? I kind of figure if you're a diligent and motivated student, which are qualities that are really helpful for candidates for graduate school, then that's something you might want to consider doing. If you have any questions, please message me. Otherwise, I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Bye.